this session will be very small. Actually, it will be, I'll talk about little bit about Docker, and also I'll show you the config file, and we'll run some demo, and you will see how beautiful Docker is and how can it help like building applications, deploying applications so fast. Okay. When we talk about Docker, we actually talk about um, image. You might have heard about talking about image. Okay, Docker image, right? Another is very important file called Docker file. Okay, and um, there is another thing that is also called compose.yml file. This is actually I will say this is a this is a concept that came after Docker became popular. Okay, so compose.yml is a file which helps in service orchestration. Docker is also known for the uh, containerization. Okay, so okay, first let's start with the image. Okay, so what is Docker image? Is Docker image, you can say it's a blueprint of a application that you are packaging or running. Okay, so for example, let's say you are building an application. You might have to uh, use Java or Python. Then you also might have to use a lot of dependencies. Okay, some libraries. Okay, some client libraries which will talk to a particular database. Okay, sometimes while building the application, you actually come up with maybe 10 different libraries and a lot of dependencies we encounter. Okay, application becomes so complex, and then finally let's say you want to move that particular application to a different machine, right? Or you want to create a development environment. Creating that full set of dependency, running it, uh, and deploying it becomes so much difficult. Docker actually solves that problem through this image. Okay, so image is nothing but like, packaging everything into a, yeah, into another software package, you can say. That is what is called image. Okay, Docker file is nothing but some instructions to tell how uh, how will you create this image. Okay, and containerization is, again, I would say this is like a very small um, instance of a virtual machine, you can say. Okay, so it is a OS environment inside an OS. Okay, so if we take Docker as a analogy for a OS, then it has small applications. All of them can be taken as containers, and within those containers actually you will be running your image. Okay, something like that. I will show you some files here, then it will be very clear actually. So okay, Portainer is another application which actually displays all these containers. So right now, let's see, you see, if I do a Docker PS, you see only one Portainer, which is the Portainer here right now. Okay, Portainer has its own image. You see, this is a public image which was actually pulled to this machine. Okay, and being used here. Okay, and if you see this Portainer that's running right now here, right? So you will see the same view here also. So you see, we have a container. We have it. We have an image. Okay, which is pulled from the public Docker hub. There is a container, and now that container is actually running. Okay, so now let's say, sorry, cd. Okay, so actually, from here. So let's say this is a brand new machine. Then let's say I want to run this entire suite that I have built for my backend. What I can do, I can just pull the branch. Okay, which is actually I have already pulled it here. You can see, and Docker is not running. You can see right now only Portainer is running, and there is a compose.yml file. You can see here. I'll show you again. So this compose.yml file, what did I say? This compose.yml file is the actually orchestration. This particular file is used for orchestration. When I say orchestration, it means like the backend is comprised of 4 5 services. So all those services, information, dependencies, everything all together you can define in this YML file, compose.yml file, and you can run all of them together in one simple command. Okay, so I'll show you that. From there we'll go and we'll see how this Docker file looks like. We saw image, we saw containers, okay, and we'll see the compose.yml file here. You can see services, and I am defining few services here. Chroma is a database. Flask API is my Python service. Fast API is another Python service. So there are two different services, one for write and one for read I have written. Worker is again some queue processors, and it also has dependency with Redis. Okay. So this is the compose.yml config file. Okay, so you can say which is the container, okay, what is the image. Okay, so here you can say this is actually, we are telling that, okay, this is the public image that is available for Docker, and you just pull it. Okay, fine. Now you are also telling which port you are going to run. You are also defining all the environment variables here. Okay, and you are creating volumes also, like where the data will be stored, things like that. Okay, and this is the most beautiful thing that I learned. So this network config is actually what it does is, inside the Docker, it creates a private network. Okay, so when you say, for example, here, see, I have done networks, deep network, right? So I have created a deep network inside the Docker environment. So in your OS, you will be actually running a Docker, and you will be doing other things also, right? So when you are running, when we have created a private network inside the Docker, it's like, think about like in the AWS world, how do we create a private network, right? So something similar happens here also. This is beautiful thing. So inside Docker, if you create a private network and you code your services in such a way that they will talk to each other, then if you are outside the Docker, that will not be, accessible. So there will be only one entry point. That's what I have done actually here. So only what I have done for port 80 request, I am forwarding to 5000 and 5001 for read and write requests. And internally, my service is actually talking to Chroma DB sometimes, or sometimes Redis inside. Okay, but I'm not directly talking to them. You see this Redis URL is also Redis and Redis 6379. So they're talking within the Docker environment. Okay, it actually creates a environment for all these services to talk to each other in a private network kind of thing. Okay, and this one service package, once you do this, what we need to do, we just have to do fire only one command. Okay, so Docker pose the build the command Docker compose up. I also don't forget, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so you see, this one command actually now goes and pulls all the images for every services, every dependency. You can see this will do its job. Okay, so in this particular phase, it will also finally it's downloading, see all this dependency, and finally it will create the package, and you will see something beautiful happens here. So you will start seeing um, images gets created. See, you see already there are 6 images already got created. Okay, so you can see Redis already has come, Chroma DB, right? So all those images have been created, and after some time they will start also. So yeah, they have in fact they have started also. So you see, so all those services started also. Usually this is very useful for the development environment. Our development, we might need MongoDB running, we might need a Redis running, we might need some local AWS stack, all those things you can set up in one particular compose.yml file. You can tell that, and you can create such an environment, just one command fired, and you see how quickly we created the image, how big this packages were there. Actually, so many packages got downloaded so quickly. Okay, and image also got created, and also got launched. Okay, and I just wanted to show you one more thing. You can, so you can also define which service is depending on which service, so something like that also here. So it depends on. Okay, so I'm telling Flask API depends on Chroma and Redis. Of course, I have my own code and it has all those library dependency, but on top of that, I'm talking about service dependency also, which service it is depending on. So this service will not start unless the Chroma and Redis service are already resolved and up and running. Okay. Docker file has is the file where you actually specify the steps, like from where you will download the images, from where what are the dependency on them. Okay. So let's say Docker file dot right. So here I'm telling first package is Python 3.9 Slim you download. Okay. My working directory is deep.py. So this is my folder. And this is the requirement. This is the requirement. This is very important. All my Python library actually depends on this requirement. And okay, before that, and this requirement file you use, and you install all of them. That's what I'm telling here. Okay. If you see, there are so many libraries. Okay, all this Python library I am actually using and building my image. Okay, so this is one thing, Docker file. So this Docker file has dependency and some commands using which it pulls all those dependency and create a image, and then that image is actually used as a container, and it runs in the Docker environment. You see, and right now you can do a Docker PS same view, what the same exact view that what we are seeing in this portainer. Same view here also. You can see all these write, deep worker, read API, read Redis stack, right? You can also see the stats. So there are similar commands like what we do in Unix environment, right? We do PS, stats, all those similar commands are also given to us, so that we can see the CPU usage, how much memory it is using, things like that. Okay. See, some of the services are actually working inside the network, so they are not exposed. This port is not exposed. You see, this port is when we say published port and it's blank, that means they are actually internally talking to each other. They are not exposed to the outside world, not outside the Docker environment, not outside the machine also. Okay. But this guy Portainer has to be exposed, otherwise how will I use this Portainer, right? That's why. And I think ChromaDB I can actually hide them. When my Redis 6379 was exposed, I was always seeing my Redis was restarting again and again, and I saw in the traffic that some unwanted networks were coming, and 6379 they were actually attacking 6379. And when I stop this, my Redis actually yeah, it's safe now, and it did not fail anymore. Yeah, again, Docker is like within one system, within one computer, you want to you want to run few services for your local development, or maybe it can be production environment also. For example, in my case, deep page backend is entirely running in a Docker environment. Okay, and I can run it in one machine. I can go to copy git pull. I can do that particular compose.yml file, and I can just create another image, set of images, and run it in another machine. Okay, so this is the beauty about Docker.